This is a tutorial for the 3D zip hoodie with walking animation and 360-degree rotation animation. You can find the file and download it from Etsy. I'll leave a link in the description. After you've downloaded the file, we'll head over to blender.org and download Blender. Blender is a completely free software that you can download online, and it's what we'll be using today for editing the 3D model. So, I'm going to open up Blender and then find the file called fullziphoodieanimation.blend, drag and drop it into Blender and press open. At the bottom here you have something called the timeline, which we can drag across to preview a rotation animation. We can also press spacebar to preview it and press spacebar to stop it, or we can press the play key down here. The second animation is the walking animation, which looks like this. We'll press spacebar to preview it. In the preview it always looks a little bit janky, but don't worry, as soon as we render it we'll have a much smoother animation when we're finished. The third animation is pretty much the same, but instead of spinning around it holds in its like static location. The good thing about this is we can also change the rotation by dragging on the Z rotation here, and we can place it in any direction we want. So it gives quite a bit of freedom for your own interpretation of what you want to do. So now we're going to have a look into how we can add our own textures, so we can add our own design. We're going to go back to the folder with the files that we downloaded from Etsy, and I'm going to drag the full zip hoodie blank PNG into Photoshop. I'll also be using Canva to show you guys how to do it if you don't have Photoshop, and I'll leave timestamps in the bottom so you can just move to whichever chapter is like most relevant for you. Right, I'm going to quickly just add a color to this hoodie in Photoshop, and just to give you like a quick idea of what you can do. So I'm just going to add my own logo. Just going to bring that in here. Just going to quickly change this grey colour to white. Okay, and I'm just going to add the Blender logo to the back. Okay, once you've finished doing your design, then we're going to go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. And I'm going to rename this blue. I'm going to put this in the same folder so it's easy to find, and press OK. Now I'm going to go back over to Blender, click on the model, and then go to the shading tab at the top here. Then I'm going to go to this icon here, the folder icon, and locate the file that I just saved and press open image, and it will automatically update the artwork for you. So right now down here we have something called the material tab, and as you can see it's quite shiny. I can make it more shiny by playing with the roughness, so it's like a PVC material, or I can drag it up to make it a little bit smooth, which is more like a cotton. I can also look at the specular, which also has a bit of an effect. It gives it a little bit of shine. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go back over to the layout and just press spacebar to see how it looks. And that should automatically update for all three animations. So let's check. Press spacebar. It's looking pretty cool. I'm just going to check the last one as well. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So just a quick update that I forgot to say is that here, if you haven't already got this, you can mess around with the eye icon here, and also the camera icon. It's important that when we finally come to render an image, that we have the camera selected and the eye selected, so it's visible for both us and the camera, and also that the other ones are turned off. Otherwise you'll get this kind of like overlapping effect, which will look pretty rubbish. So just keep that in mind. If we want to take just a still image, what we can do is go up to render image. It'll take a few seconds, but it's just loading. And it will render the image. To save this, we can go to File, and then go to Save As. And I'm going to call this Render 1. We'll make sure that it's saved at a location I can find it. So I'm going to put it back in the same folder and press Save As Image. Now, if I go to my folder, I should be able to find it. So now we're going to have a look into how we can render an animation. So to do that, let's do it with the walking animation. I'm going to change the angle again. Make sure that you have it highlighted, and then you can drag across. I'm also going to change the color of the background a little bit. So I want it to be a blue color. So what you have to do is go to the materials tab at the bottom here. Make sure we've clicked the background so it's highlighted, and then we're going to change the base color to, let's say, a kind of like a slightly different blue. As you can see, it hasn't really done much, and that's because the emission is on, which makes the background more vibrant. So we can pull this all the way down to black, and you'll see it will update the background color. What we can also do is play with the lights. So we can to select the lights, we can either click on these black lines here, and you can also see they correspond with the menu up here. You can turn these on and off, and they don't seem to do anything when you look at it here, but if you go up to the viewport shader called rendered, it will give us a more clear image of how it will actually look. It's a little bit more taxing for the computer than the material preview, which is this one. So we make sure that we switch back afterwards, but for just checking the lighting, I think it's quite a nice thing to do. So to adjust the power, we can just drag across here. It plays around with the lighting, has a huge effect. We can also add a color to the lighting. So let's give it a red color, for example. It gives it this awesome look. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to render an animation by making sure that I go back to frame 0, go to render animation. But before we do that, we're going to go over to the output settings and check that we can put it in a folder, we can find it. So we go down to output and make sure we click on the folder icon down here. I'm going to put mine on my desktop. I'm going to call it animation 1 and press accept. And then we're going to go up to render again, render animation. And what it's going to do now, it's going to render 250 separate frames. So it should take maybe 10-20 minutes for this to do. It'll take a little bit of a while. So make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee while it continues to do that, and I will show you the results as soon as it's done. Okay, and this is the result of the render. It's looking pretty cool. So now I'm going to try and show you the same thing but using Canva. So Canva is a free software you can use for making your own graphics or designs. So head over to canva.com if you're not using Photoshop. And the first thing, the most important thing to do once you've signed in is go to custom size. And it's very important that we write 2048 by 2048 pixels and press create new design. So then we're going to head over to the folder with our designs in, and we're going to go to full zip hoodie blank PNG. I'm going to make sure that we go to let's see, elements, design, let's see, uploads. So we're going to go to uploads, and then we're going to find the the full zip hoodie blank PNG and press open. So it's just loading it in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a contrast background. I'm going to give it a black background and drag it in. The reason is because if we don't have that contrast background, then it's impossible to see the template that we need to draw on, which is the white pieces. So we have to make sure that we resize the file so it fits into the square perfectly. That's incredibly important. So 2048 by 2048, then resizing it to fit. I'm just going to add some elements. Let's see. I'm going to go and have a look at. I've got so many things here. Let's see if we can find seal recently used. Yeah, let's just throw some of these in. So I will add some. I'm just going to drag and drop and reshape the different images. You can also turn them here. And once I've finished with a design, I will show you the next part. Then once you've got a design that you're that you're happy with, you can go up to share, and then go to download. Keep the size the same. Keep it as a PNG and press download. All right. So just going to find that file. I'm going to move it into my desktop. I'm going to go back over to Blender, and we're going to click on the hoodie, go to shading, and then make sure that we click on the folder icon and go to and find the file that you want, and it will update the file. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's see. So we're going to go back to layout. I'm going to change the background color by going to the materials tab here. Bring in the color back up to white. I'm also going to change the color of the lights. And I'm going to mess around to see if it looks better with a little bit darker or a little bit lighter. I'm also going to change it to the walking animation, and I'm going to just quickly test it here. Looking good. And I'm just going to go through the same process again by clicking on render animation. And I'll get back to you with the results once it's done.